It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the two business owners of a podcast called Loud House Podcast. How are y'all doing today?
Great.
Can you talk about how you got started with your podcast?
So the way that we started Loud House, it's a pretty funny thing. When we love sports debate, we love everything like that, so we decided to make a group chat for Snapchat of sports debate, and we just put on I put on my Snapchat saying, hey, anybody wants to join, we could just debate. That's all we're gonna do. And so weeks go by, we debated a little bit, and then after a few inactivities, we didn't even go into it a lot much. Went into the group chat and said, hey guys, let's start a podcast. And from that on, we just
Can you talk about how you came up with the name?
we started the podcast from there. So he's not here right now, but because he's handling a very important business right now. But my other partner, Aaron, we were in this discussion right the whole entire time, like what should we name, what should we do this. I think we had Lonzo. Do we had like two other people? Three other people
When we first
before?
initially started, it was like at least 7 to 8 of us. But as time went on, we
Yeah.
started getting more serious. And so the podcasting with the Instagram social media posts, it was, it narrowed down to like 4 of us.
So after that, because a lot of them weren't taken seriously like we were. And so the whole entire time we were discussing what's going to be the name. One of them was like Texas City Sports Podcast, but because we're from Texas City, so we were like, I said, nah, I don't want Texas City affiliated with our name. So we decided, and Aaron just like texted, said, what about Loud House? And then after that, we were like, oh, that's a great name. So we just ran with it.
Alonzo, what segments do you cover in your podcast?
Well, I'd say it varies day to day because we always stick to a couple of things. We stick to usually football, UFC, and basketball. Right now it's not a lot of basketball going on, so we usually just stick to football, UFC. But we also try to sprinkle in like music segments every now and then.
Alonzo, who are some of the people that you've interviewed before?
Well, we haven't done any interviews so far. We've just been me and Dom right now. We've been looking to, I'd say, first set a baseline of what we like to cover, and then hopefully in the future we can bring people in.
Who are some of the people, Alonzo, that you're trying to bring on to interview?
Well, first we're going to try to bring on a lot of local people. I'd say people in our area, first of all, and hopefully people we can reach out to in the bigger cities in our area.
Don, what are some of the future plans for Loud House Podcast?
So our future plans is to kind of just be consistent. Recently, we just stopped doing a little bit of late night Loud House that we've been posting on our YouTube because we were getting ready for this podcast, of course. But our future is to get more athletes, more local athletes around our area. The basketball season is about to start for high school. Football season already started, but not a lot of them wanted to join in or anything like that. So try to get more local athletes. Try to get a lot of entrepreneurs. I'm in discussions with a lot of entrepreneurs and all that stuff. Other things that we're going to be doing is just putting our head down and get ready to go, because it's only the beginning, and we'll just get ready for that and everything like that.
Don, what have you learned now that you didn't know beforehand starting a sports talk podcast?
How expensive it is. Like, I mean, a lot of the stuff, like, I mean, it's expensive, but I mean, it's worth it for me. It's worth it. I love it. I like it. But also how much people are hands down just down to the earth, willing to help out, willing to do anything for just to, I mean, followers, likings. I mean, it's cool, but at the same time, for me, it's like, that's not that important. Uh, I think what is important is kind of doing what we like doing, and this is what we like doing. So,
Also, time management. That's
time
one
management.
thing we ever like, because especially when you have a group of people, one thing you have to realize is we all are very busy because we all have our own different lives. So time management is one thing I've learned. Like, we have to make time for times and stuff like this. Like me and Dom, we do late night out loud house. It's like 1 and 2 a.m. Both of us are still up. So,
Alonzo, what have you learned that you didn't know beforehand starting?
well, I figured out that marketing is not the easiest thing to do. Getting people to engage with your page isn't very easy. Also, um, finding topics isn't the easiest thing to do. I'd say, especially since we're just starting out with this, outside when we're not doing sports, finding topics isn't very, very easy.
Don, what advice would you give upcoming future sports talk podcasts that are looking to get started?
Um, just do it. If you have that thing that you just want to do it, and you just feel like that, that you're good at it, and that you want to do it, do it. There's no you I mean, you might not have enough time, you might not have anything like that, but I mean, I see it as long as you do it for an hour, 2 hours. It's like working out. You do it for an hour, 2 hours, you'll see results later on down the line. You don't have to work, you don't have to be on here for 24/7, and then you realize, oh, I got to go to work, or oh, I got school, or this and that. If you want to do it, do it. Just do it. It's fun. It's awesome to meet the people and start talking to other people.
Alonzo, what advice would you give future sports talk podcasts that are looking to get started?
Make sure you and your hosts are compatible, and y'all both have an equal mind on the things you're talking about. Because I will say is one thing, when you're talking to somebody else about a specific topic, what you don't want it to be is you just sitting and not saying anything.
Don, where can my listeners find the Loud House podcast at on social media along with podcast platforms?
Whew. We have a lot. You can find us on YouTube at Loud House Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at loud_podcast. You can find us on Instagram at Loud House Podcast. You can find us on Spotify at Loud House Podcast, Apple Podcast, Anchor. What else? There's a lot more that I can't even name on the top of my head, but TikTok definitely. Yeah. So, and I think there's more, but Facebook, I just can't I can't remember at the top of my head right now, but yeah, that's where you can find Loud House at.
Thank you again, Lonzo and Don, for your interview, and best of luck in your podcast, the Loud House Podcast.
Thank you.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Alonzo and Don, for your interview, and best of luck in the Loud House Podcast.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.